All right, guys, I'm back again. Had to do a reboot on that one. It was actually my son's tab creating all the issues. I'm going to switch the video off because I know it ain't going to work on this internet connection. But just want to say quick hello. um, yeah, we'll start again from the beginning. Um, why do some people crave drama and attention? It's related to certain individuals that are pretty toxic in the Philippines community. Um, I'll start with JLB. I mean, the thing with JLB is I find the stuff he does actually goes against what he was saying about other people. Like with B Adventures, he was complaining about how B Adventures approaches people in their face and all this sort of. He's doing exactly the same. I don't understand why, but this is part and parcel of the issue. Is you're trying to find logic where there is no logic, um, because a lot of these guys, they are very opinionated. They have their own viewpoints on the world, and as Dave said, they're morons. I think that's probably more on the money actually than because when you try and find logic to why somebody attacks you, why they are creating this sort of environment, you start to see that there is very little logic beyond them trying to generate attention for themselves off your back, especially on YouTube, because they're relying on your reaction to create another reaction. If you look at the Hobos channel, just go through the titles and you'll see how many of the videos are actually negative. There isn't a lot there that actually says, oh, he's a nice guy, look what he does. Yet I know if he'd actually just videoed the locations he was in, he would actually have a better channel. It'd be better in the sense that it'd be something a lot more people would want to watch. But B, just generally, it's just not bashing people left, right, and center. It's actually going to be a higher value, which more people would enjoy. So, yeah, that's my view of it. I know Rona brought this up earlier on the last video I just deleted. They're doing it for YouTube views. They're doing it for it, but I do honestly think there is better ways to make money. There really is. Stracker, greetings, Matt from Merrimack, New Hampshire, USA. Nice to hear from you. How's it going? Because I'm in different vlog groups, and I'll be honest with the guys that deal with the drones, because I've got a little phantom drone I've just dragged out of retirement under the bed. They're very upbeat and always trying to help each other. But I do find certain individuals in the vlogging community around the Philippines do try to drag it down. It does seem that they want the attention, but don't seem to understand that there's better ways to do things. There's more positive stuff out there they could be doing. And I know, like Barry Jordan's got his life together now. He's going to do well on YouTube. He really is, because he's not living in a subdivision doing X, Y, Z. He's doing it in his own unique way, which is very different. And I know he got hammered before relating to asking for money for a flight home and that sort of stuff. But I think now he's got himself organized. He's heading in the right direction. And I do think that's half the battle. People need to realize you don't have to keep bashing people. You can't actually just say, right, that's a day, move on to something positive. I know various people seem to get affected and dragged into these drama disputes over absolutely nothing, because people like JLB, the Hobo and stuff, focus on creating that issue. Insults and other things which A, they're often 99% untrue, but B, it's created for the drama. Moby Gianic, hi Matt. Hi, how's it going? Hope your day's going well. It's pretty cold here in Spain today. But for me, I think it has a negative impact on the whole community. And I've had a guy trolling me for years. I don't even know how many years he's been trolling me. It's probably about 5 now. But he'd stolen pictures of my kids and stuff in Spain. Oh, sorry, not even in Spain, in Paris when we were in France. And then he's posting, oh, they're not in France. These are all Photoshop, blah, blah, blah. But you never get a response going back, okay, Matt's now posted videos that actually relate to that and show I'm a complete idiot. They then just move on to something else. It's just the way it is. Ah, okay. Is Moby Janik, as in mobile organic? Yeah, organic. Okay, Moby Organic. Uh, yeah, Spain's pretty good. I enjoy Spain. I love it. I love it out here. I mean, the main thing in Spain is probably getting around the Spanish language. Once I conquer that, I'll be doing well. Compared to the Philippines, Moby Ganic's asking how it compares to the Philippines. I call it Philippines 2.0, in the sense that there's so many similarities, but like the waste management and stuff is far, far better in Spain. So I just call it Philippines 2.0. It's like the upgrade. It's like if the Philippines sorts its economy out and things like that, I could see it being another Spain. Let's put it that way. I could see it doing a lot better. And I say economy, I actually mean the corruption reduces, it would be doing a lot better. But it certainly could be on par with Spain, without a doubt. I mean, most of the paperwork bureaucracy in the Philippines comes from Spain, being a former colony. So there's no reason for it not to be in a similar setup. But I mean, I certainly get the same issues with the internet as I do in the Philippines, that's for sure. But beyond that, yeah, Spain's great. I love it here. I love it in the Philippines as well. You know, it does have its issues, but at the same time, I don't let it affect me too much. I just enjoy it. Straka is cold in Spain. It's 29 degrees. What's that? -1 Fahrenheit. Yeah. Yeah, I got that right there. Yeah, because here it's about, I think it's about 14 degrees today, which is cold for us. We're not. I like it at least about 22. I'm comfortable at 22, 24. But yeah, it's a cold day. Getting back on topic though, but I do think if somebody's like trying to run things down, I think you need to realize a lot of this is about reaction. It's about YouTube views. It's about creating something off your back. Because at the end of the day, they are relying on other people engaging with them. Because like I say, if you go through the Hobos channel list, there isn't a lot there. You know, if it's not bashing, there isn't a lot there. If you look at JLB stuff, unless you're interested in ladyboys or attacking people, there ain't a lot there. I mean, I know I keep bringing up the ladyboy thing, but his hotel video relating to, because Ella Winter brought it to me yesterday. He said, "Have you seen this? I've just realized there's that's JLB on the bed in this video." JLB's been stopping in a bed spacer, which is normally for transients, students, or people working in local malls, that sort of stuff. And he's got one transgender sitting on his bed and another one what looks like wearing his shirt, doing some sort of yoga thing on the floor. And they are both transgenders, by the way. I know somebody's, the girl's doing this. It's not a girl. I don't want to ruin your day, but it's not a girl. There is a blog about JLB and the factual stuff, because it's tried to keep away from the tit-tat stuff, but just puts the facts out there relating to Scientology and all that gear. But the channel, I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to push this to one side. The problem you get with these guys is they keep trying to pull you back in. But yeah, Moby Ganic, I'm in Miami right now. It's cold for us too, 23 degrees. I would be happy at 23. Well, we got it. I appreciate your channel because you actually approach it from a professional approach, not just sexpats or economic refugees. Yeah, well, I am a professional. I mean, I do get trolled with, "Oh, Matt's a security guard. Matt's broke. Matt's this." I work in facilities management. I work at a senior management level. Let's put it this way: I was involved with when I was out in Oman. Our client was Shell PDO, and I was dealing with directors of Shell Oil. Just leave it at that. That's what I work at. I was also dealing with RBS Bank. I was managing their maintenance for the whole of the United Kingdom. I deal with business. Jamie Fernandez, I watched some of the British in Spain videos you had in your playlist, and in one of them, you open with a problem with Spain. It's too many Spanish people. Did I say that? That's probably me joking. Yeah, yeah. Well, I have no problem with being a security guard. I've just never worked as a security guard. I know one of my regular subscribers is a security guard. And I've known people that do work there. You had it. Oh yeah, about British and Spain TV shows. Yeah, that's all about the Brits on the Benidorm side. Jamie's on about the on my Spanish channel. There is actually a playlist of the bargain loving Brits and stuff. It's all the people that that have moved to Spain, live in the budget lifestyle. I watch it because I find them fascinating. I just find it how interesting how some of the people survive. You know, a lot of them are living on a campsite and stuff, and I just find it interesting. I do because some of the characters in there are quite funny. I, I've got no problem with people doing what they want to do in life, rich or poor. I couldn't care less. What matters to me is people doing what they want to do, and that's why that playlist exists, just so people can see it. Because it just fascinates me. I mean, you've got to bear in mind that one campsite, I think, has got 1,500 pitches on there. That's 1,500 tents or caravans or whatever. So there's at least 1,500 people living on the one campsite, and a lot of them are Brits. I think the actual campsite is owned by a Dutch person. No, is it? Yeah, he is. He's Dutch. He's a Dutch owner. But yeah, the whole thing on that, I just find it amusing, and they're all very upbeat on there as well. You know, they're not living the life of luxury, but they're all content. If anybody wants me to put a link about that later, you can have a look at it because it is quite an interesting thing to watch. Just from the point, I just find it unique. I just find it very different. You know, it's a bit like the Barry Jordan sort of setup in the Philippines. That's probably on a similar level. But yeah, it's bargain loving Brits. That's it, Jamie Fernandez. I've gone off on a tangent here. Yeah, the thing with the toxic stuff, I'll say just avoid it. I mean, the thing with me, if I get attacked by some of these people, I research them for like a few hours, then I know just to cut myself off. Because when you start looking into these people, you start to see a pattern of problems with them, historical issues, because a lot of them have got history online for a long period of time. They've moved into vlogging. My little weird French guy that trolls me, he started off on Yahoo groups and then went on to forums, and now he's on YouTube. There's just a pattern of them having this hate for other people, because it's not individual. It's not you personally. The French guy, it goes all the way back to Behol in 2005, I think, and he's got this whole conspiracy theorist idea around the Rotary Club, and it's like he's got a long list of people he dislikes there, and they're all into this, they're all crooked, they're all this, they're all that. It's conspiracy theory stuff, and it's just very, very weird. Yeah, as Mobile Organic says, if they've traveled across the world and they've wasted time attacking people on videos, that's all you need to know. Exactly. But that's what I was saying about JLB though. JLB is currently in the Philippines, and his whole attack video stuff is stopped because he's in the Philippines. When he goes back to Australia, you'll probably find every third video will be an attacked video again. I know PV stuff is the same. There's a pattern. You can see they do such and such about this, and then there's an attack video. Now, there does seem a pattern with some of these guys, because there isn't many of them, but they do have almost a resentment against other people that are doing stuff they can't do, or won't achieve, or whatever. It doesn't have to be financial. It could be that their lifestyle, or they just have these things that go through their head, but it's not logical. And I think that's the main thing. If you get one of these guys attack you, just understand these people do not think logically. There is stuff, if you research like PV or whatever, you go back and is some of the stuff in these past, my God, it's off the scale weird. Obviously Scientology with JLB and what he used to get up to, there is always something in their lives that is very, you instantly go, well, that's weird. I don't understand. Why would anybody do that? And that's the thing. And that's the bit where it doesn't make sense. Why they pick you out, why you were targeting, because you're just on YouTube. That's it. You're up the rankings further than them. You have people listening to you and talking to you. Because, like I was saying, it was on, with the French guy, it was on forums. Before forums, it was on Yahoo groups. It's all about attention seeking, craving attention. And in the YouTube stuff, it's for views. Views equal money. And that's what they're after. They're after the money at the end of the day. Because what you've got is, we all know, well, maybe not. JLB's signed up for AdSense now, and old Hobo also is on AdSense. Every view they get with the bickering going backwards and forwards gives them traffic, free traffic. And the more they get of it, the more money they're making. And that's why it bounces backwards and forwards. Although I can understand why they don't just video what they're doing. Okay, I can understand a bit strange living in a room with two ladyboys, but wandering around Makati, or getting a Roro, the old ferry, I can understand that. Thomas, economic refugees. Australia is creating many. Matt, would you say the ability to invest in the West has become significantly more difficult? Seems to me Phil is full of opportunity. Philippines is full of opportunity, but you've got to scale it. And the big thing, I brought this up the other day because I got into a conversation relating to Scott Ingram's eatery. I would say that the opportunities in the Philippines is more to do with getting the first one started, then replicating it, then replicating it, then replicating it. Just keep building businesses up. What I found myself is having about 9 businesses. We're doing pretty well in the Philippines. But then we had the call center just went bang. It was making some serious money without any headaches. The initial money, we got it kickstarted because I'd just come back from the Middle East. So I had a budget there just to run it, just to get it going. And once the agents started to get to the quality level that I needed, the money started coming in, and then more money. We moved up from, I think initially we had two agents that went to 6. And then at the end we had 45. Seriously good money, easy business. Pat Cord, are you on about for the gambling? Yeah, there's money in that, but obviously be very careful with it. If you get into the casino side in the Philippines, it's something you have to be careful with, certainly. It runs risks. I've seen some of the stuff relating to people shooting each other, and they're in the same family. It's just there's so much money involved. You got to be careful. But yeah, I do think you can start opportunities smaller in the Philippines and get it running. I do think positively on that because I've done it. That's the big thing. I've had the piggery. I've done my father-in-law. Yeah, Mobiganic says already doing it here. Yeah, as I'm saying, there's risks involved with it. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying there is some serious risks involved with it. Because I know I mean, up on Mactan, I think they were trying to open one. I don't know if it's open now. As there's some Koreans getting involved in one to open a large casino there. But yeah, I found that starting small businesses, you can develop them and build them up. Some of them won't make you rich, but what they can do is get a small business pays your electric bill, another small business pays your internet and something else, and then you become sustainable. So then you can work on bigger projects. It's quite easy to get sustainable there. One of the things my father-in-law was making some good money on was the fighting cocks. He was breeding fighting cocks, just buying the chicks, growing them on, and then selling them. And some of those were going at 5,000 each. Yeah, Mobiganic. Oh, I'm doing the e-license. Just need to open up shop to hire internal staff. Yeah, so it's not. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I'd be out of mind to open a physical casino there. Yeah, that's what I was saying. When you mentioned it, I was like, okay, because I know what the risks are like those I've seen. There was a guy in Cebu. There was murdered two brothers relating to a hotel and casino. It was the uncle. It was the family killing each other because there's so much money involved. Kokolai, sustainable equals self-sufficient. Exactly. It's self-sufficient in the Philippines. I also, because everywhere I go, I aim to be self-sufficient in that country, because you don't know how the economics are going to move globally. You don't know how they're going to do at a time. At the moment, in the UK, for example, they're on about moving the retirement age up to 70. So at my point, I have no plans of working to 70, no plans whatsoever. Just got to be very careful on that one, you see. Yeah, because if you rely on something, you've just got to be aware, is it going to be there in 10 years' time? Because if you're going to go into, like say I wanted to retire at 65, I know we can't now, but if I planned for that, and then the government then moved my pension to 68, which they did do, it's already affected your life plans for another 3 years. And that's what I say, if you try and make the incomes locally, then you start to get to a point where you're not relying on money coming in from overseas or a pension or stuff like that. But obviously, if it's in the Philippines, then you may not get taxed on it either, because obviously it's your pension's taxed at source, but a lot of these gray economy things in the Philippines don't have any tax on them. I'm not saying they should be taxed or whatever. I'm just saying a lot of them aren't taxed. Yeah, Thomas, enough to profit to cover necessary bills besides the cost of running a particular business. Exactly. As long as it's building up so that you're not, you don't want to invest too much in something that's going to take a long time to get the money back. But B, if you are investing in it, if you're getting a good recovery on it on a regular basis, then and you're not having to be there all the time. For example, that's why I like things like peso machines, the water machines, and all that sort of stuff, because once they're set up, it's all coin operated. You're not having to wander around and deal with it. It's just a case of going in and emptying the money, checking that everything's running, and out you go again. That's what I like. I like businesses that does not involve being there 24/7. They can run themselves. The call center was pretty hard on me because there was some IT guys in the Philippines I was dealing with, but they are not top notch. The ones that I was dealing with, and the ones that are very good, they weren't interested. You know, they want to charge US rates for doing something that is rather simplistic in many ways. I mean, learning how to deal with the dialers and the servers took me a month, but at the same time, I didn't want anybody else getting into that data, because I know the guys I do know, some of them will sell my data to other people. So yeah, you've got to be careful sometimes. Kukulai, don't count on getting any pension money from the government, by the way, no matter which first world country you're from. It's all going down the toilet right now. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Brexit thing is going to create things that people aren't even thinking of yet. At the moment, they assume things are going to be the same, but there's any big changes like that always costs the taxpayer, and that's the big stress on that is it always costs the taxpayer. Good or bad, it will always cost the taxpayer. The country may be wealthier, but it will still cost the taxpayer. We always lose it out. Thomas, chances are pensions will be reserved for only the most helpless individuals in the future. I would say the pensions are more likely to be reserved for those in government, like at the moment they're ring-fence pensions for medical, military, police, fire, politicians, etc. They're looking after themselves. It trickles down after that. Moby Ganic, everybody thinks you're crazy until they all realize you're right. I agree. I bet that, you get that over and over again. It doesn't matter how many times you help people or advise them and you start doing it ahead of them. And when you're sitting in a new car and stuff and they hate you because you've done it and it's obviously you must be doing something illegal or something when you're actually just working hard and working smart. That's it. There's no big secret to it. Kukulai. Oh yeah, that's closer. If there's something left, the ruling class and their henchmen get it first. Yeah, that's right on the money. Yeah, they're in the pot first because at the end of the day they secure themselves. It's just the natural democracy. It's just the way it's always been in democracy. They always feed themselves first, and then what? Then you'll get to the at some point the middle classes, which will be paying the most tax to keep those above and below in good condition, because the ones below are the ones that are going to riot, and the ones above you make all the rules. So you get stuck in the middle. That's why it's good to get stuff offshore and sort of independent of first world taxes, first world democracy, etc., and completely independent. Moby Ganic, if you guys think that's bad, look at what's happening in the States. They're literally gutting the middle class. UK's the same. I'm involved with a lot of the facilities management stuff in the UK, and you'll see some of the stuff relating to the percentages of salaries and the increases in line with inflation, house costs, and whatever. And they say people coming into the industry because the salaries are crap. And it's right. I mean, a lot of the salaries that I get quoted are the same ones that were there in 1998. I work as a contractor. I work as a via agency short-term contracts. I do not take permanent roles. I am not interested because I can earn 3 times as much working for myself or working via an agency. Because the big problem you get in a lot of this work is they quote it on a 37.5-hour week when you're working normally about 60 to 80 hours. Well, if you're a contractor, you're paid for every hour you work. So, yeah, getting wiped out financially by actually working for a company direct. That's my opinion. That's what I've seen, and that's why a lot of the time I'm financially better off than some people in the same industry because I don't work for the companies. I did get a good deal with Carillion when I was working for them, but even then I put on it, that was a 37.5-hour week. I averaged about 55. So yeah, it's just the way it is because they cut costs off the people doing the work. The top's getting heavier, the bottom's getting lighter, and in the middle it's super thin, but ending up having to do twice as much work or 3 times as much work for the same money as 10 to 15 years ago. Kukulai, but some things I've heard Matt say sound like there might be considerably higher incidence of psychopaths in the Philippines than in most other countries. Well, yeah, there's a lot of people with mental health issues. There's no getting away with that. There is certainly a lot of people that seem to end up there, but you also got to bear in mind you do get a lot of people that are coming out of war zones to go there. There's several people I know that come out of Iraq that moved over to the Philippines rather than going back to the States. There's also some people I know that have come over from the States that didn't like maybe the way they're treated, and they've got, what do they call it? Bipolar conditions, which is quite common. Moby Ganic, the proposed healthcare plan is draconian. The proposed federal budget is literally taking money from feeding the elderly to buy bombs. Yeah, it's just bizarre. It is bizarre, but I think it's a first world thing. It's not just the US. The UK has a lot invested in the arms trade as well. Uh, yeah, that's it, Kukula. Yeah, they are. They're the middle classes are being screwed over all over the first world. Yeah, we're getting pressure top and bottom. Um, Kukulai, you know what I mean because you've got the same mental health issues. What are you talking about? I mean, the thing is, you say something stupid like that, and then you complain when you get banned. Goodbye. So, see, this is the funny thing. This is a prime example of the crap that people come out with because they don't agree with something. Then suddenly everyone's psychotic or whatever. Because you don't agree with somebody, actually throwing your dummy out the pram and whinging about it actually says more about you than anybody else. Um, bizarre, bizarre. Back on tangent because obviously we've had somebody deciding to troll. But anyway, lead them to it. Um, yeah, so I do think that economically things are changing. They're changing a lot in the Philippines and globally. I think we've got to watch the exchange rates, which is why people need to be careful with their pensions right now. Because I think as Trump gets through this year, things are going to change a bit on the American side. And as the UK starts to go through this Brexit window, things are going to change there as well, which will affect the euro, and everything's going to be a little bit of turmoil. Um, yeah, you just got to be aware that things aren't as stable as they were, say, 5 years ago. Even in the economic crisis, it was easier to map out because right now there's so much unpredictable things going on. Thomas, how do you feel about pedophiles still being allowed to go to the Philippines, even though they are on record? 250 registered pedophiles from Australia visited the Philippines in the last year or so. Um, I have my own view on it, and they wouldn't exist. Let's just put it that way. They would be dealt with. I think that there needs to be more done. I don't think there's enough done to protect people against them, and I don't think they should be allowed to enter the country. I think there should be some sort of mapping out of high risk places where people are at risk of being exploited, and they know these people exploit them. They should never be allowed to go there, never mind live there. So as simple as that. There should be countries that they're permanently blacklisted from and not allowed to visit, enter, or even go anywhere near. They shouldn't be allowed. Simple as that. Mobigani, do you follow Nomad Capitalist podcast? He's very in tune about being a digital nomad and hedging your risks. Now, I'll take a look at that. I will have a look for his podcast because I'm always interested in people with a similar mindset on the world, because I think you need to develop a view of the world that it's changing, but also understand that you need to adapt to it. These things like the YouTube stuff is developing a income off YouTube, and this will evolve into something else. The video live chat that's now developing is a prime example of new technology, and I can't get it here. It hasn't been made available yet. I don't think it's available in Spain. I'm not 100% sure, but it certainly don't work on my phone. But that's a new extension of that. So being at a live event or something and be able to broadcast it and all that sort of stuff, I think that's where things are going in the next layer. But I do think there's a lot of opportunities in the digital world and online, and a lot of it's still untapped. It's still brand new. I'm supposed to be meeting a real estate agent today relating to real estate in this area, because a lot of the advertising in this area is still 1990. They just have photos, and the photos can be out of date. I mean, I've seen one house in two different websites, and they're different frontages because the one photo is so old that the house has actually been repainted since it was advertised. So yeah, I do think there is a lot of opportunities there. I do think the shifts in markets, there's going to be opportunities on that as well, because at the end of the day, when the blips start with the Brexit and stuff, there's going to be fluctuations to make a bit of money online. Norwegian polar bear. The best worst example is the hobo. It's like watching a train crash waiting to happen. Can't help looking. Follow that idiot though. I don't. That's the bizarre thing. People keep saying, "Have you seen this?" And then they'll send me a link, and I'm like, "Yeah, it doesn't really look ill," because I don't actually listen to him anymore. If I see any of his videos, it's normally just to see how his condition is, because there's nothing, in my opinion, of value comes out of his mouth. So I don't actually listen to him. I look at it and think he's looking pretty sick. His body seems to be deteriorating badly. I don't know if he's not eating or whatever, because you can't trust anything he says. So it's near impossible to think, is he ill, or is it the fact that he isn't eating? Well, or he's got some sort of addiction. I'm not sure what's wrong with him, but he's certainly got some issues there. Mobiganic, it's a business approach to flag theory. Maybe you'll have e-residency in Estonia for business. Maybe you live in Spain. Maybe you're banking in Hong Kong. Yeah, well, it's like now I have bank accounts in 3 countries. Now, before I had a US business set up in Delaware, for the US processing side. So yeah, I agree. It becomes disconnected from the day-to-day life of being in one place. In the same way, I have contacts through Singapore. For example, English teaching goes through Singapore. It's more of a global marketplace. I do think that people need to see there's more opportunities out there, and also see a lot of the problem is people don't trust things they don't see. So moving some bank accounts and stuff becomes something that they may not feel comfortable with because it's outside of their own country, it's outside their comfort zone. But my own personal view, I've got accounts in the UK, I've got them in Spain, I've got them in the Philippines, and I have had no issues with any of them. The security's all been there. I had no problems whatsoever. Thomas, do you think excellent 4G coverage and other quality internet infrastructure would bring a lot of economic growth to the Philippines? I do. But even just reliable internet of any form, because it's like at the moment there's problems back at our place in Minglanilla because Globe seems to be having problems at the exchange. And I do say the exchange because it's more than one line. So yeah, I do think if they actually invested some serious money in the infrastructure, they would develop new businesses, because there's a lot of skilled people in the Philippines, especially like for things like cartoons, animations, CGI, computer programming. There's a lot of skilled people there, but they struggle to get the right opportunities because infrastructure hinders it. Because even moving a business out there, you still struggle to get good infrastructure. With a call center, I had an internet connection for every single telco, because I needed them. Because if one went down, I swapped over to the next. I was running things on at least 3 lines a day because of spreading the load. The problem is the infrastructure needs to move forward, and I do think if Duterte is given enough time, the changes could happen in a very positive way and quite quickly. Because at the moment it's all the arguing and who's paying for what and who gets what. But I think at some point it's just going to all just click into place, or not a lot happen. I think if this infrastructure stuff goes ahead with the Chinese money, etc., there'll be a big jump in the right direction. My life in the Philippines. Hi, Matt. Hi, how's it going? Mobiganic, especially with the Chinese starting to invest. I agree. The Chinese investment is going to be where it comes from, because the good thing about the Chinese is they're very protective of their money. If they're wanting to invest there, they either want the resources out, or they're going their 100-year investment plan, which I think is what more likely, where they want resources out at the same time investment is they want to become a major trading partner with the Philippines as it develops. And I think that's where the Chinese will be looking at, is to get the Philippines in the right direction, because then they sell to the Philippines. So they're on a win-win. Norwegian polar bear in Norway, we have started 5G building, planned to be ready 2020. The speed is over 100 times faster than 4G. That's going to be a game changer. It is, but I'll tell you one thing they had here. There's a guy that I met up with that's selling the 3G. Because people move to 4G, the 3G system is undersubscribed. So you could get actually a pretty good 3G system because there's hardly anybody using it. I was getting 10 megabytes from the house, and that was it capped. It could easily do a 20 meg connection, because it was lightning. But yeah, I do think if the infrastructure is there and they invest in it right, it'll be super fast. And that's it. I mean, if you've got the speed of the internet, it's all to your benefit. Because one of the things I do find in my day is sometimes I'm sitting waiting for stuff to hit my Dropbox. So I end up having a couple of extra cups of tea during the day because of the speed of the internet. So, I mean, if you take that out, like say that's half an hour a day, that's half an hour of a working day that is wasted just waiting for the internet to catch up. My life in the Philippines, here it's going well, friend. Good to hear. Yeah, I'll have to have a look at your channel. I'll add you onto my list. By the way, I'm gonna put us a videos I watch list together as well, because I don't think I've actually got one on my channel. So channels I actually watch, or I think people should watch, or I find interesting, I'm going to start adding them there so that other people can. Well, you can advertise in there for a start. You can, because obviously the other channels that are good will end up in there, so people can hop between them. All good. Norwegian polar bear, we are talking 9 gigabyte a second. Yeah, I know my dad's connection. He's got 80 meg connection. That's a huge difference. Never mind going to the gigabytes. It's phenomenal speed. It's certainly, especially if you get the up speed as well, because that's what hinders me big time, is the up speed. Because obviously I can't even do video chat because my up speed is so slow. Down speed, it's okay. Up speed, non-existent. And, I might as well be on an old modem that's connected up to the what do you call it, the old dial-up, because it just isn't stable and it's not as fast as I would like. It's just one of those things. Technology is catching up. Yeah, Jamie Fernandez in Spain, there's a big problem with upload speed with the piracy. I agree, but it's a lot of it's coming down from the internet anyway. It's already on the internet, so I don't think the up speed is going to affect it too much, because it's the down speed where everybody downloads it. Norwegian polar bear, yeah, no, I've already gone over that. Mobiganic, what's the fastest you've seen anywhere in the Philippines? I haven't really seen anything substantial, nothing I would actually write home about, because I know the IT park has some good connections, because they have some direct connections between the IT park and the exchanges in the US, which are a different type of line. But they're fast, but they're not amazing. They're not what I could justify the cost on what they are. I mean, the fastest connections I've seen in the UK were a company that I dealt with relating to, well, I was dealing with their facilities management. They deal with the banking servers, and they were just massive pipes of fiber optics, just straight into the servers. But I wasn't sure how fast they were going, but the whole system was just ridiculous. I mean, these guys, they'll fly them anywhere in the world if there's a server issue. License to print money place, huge server rooms, but there's literally nobody in them. It's just the servers running there, and then you've got the IT guys that hover around and have to go wherever they're told to go. Can't remember the name of the firm. There's something like 3Com or something. I can't remember. It's one of those little businesses. little name business. It's not a little business. It's a pretty big business, but it's one of those names I can't remember because it was a while back. But uh, doesn't PLDT have a gigabyte service now in the IT park? They might do now, but the big problem is how good is it going out? I mean, you can go super fast around the Philippines, but ideally you want to be super fast into the rest of Asia, into the US, into Europe, because one of the big problems is the limitations of the actual whole system. That's the downside, because I know they did have some of the sea lines damaged before. I don't know if that's been corrected, because if they're still damaged, then I think you're still pretty restricted to where you go from A to B. You know, once you get out of the Philippines, where it hops to next. So, but I'm not sure. Because I don't keep that up to date on the comms lines. But I found if you're using it for call center use, for example, if you put a G729 codec onto the dialers, then you're going to find that you can get nearly twice as many people on the same line, and you don't lose that much data connection. But yeah, I mean, that's why I think it was 6 lines in all, because I just had multiple servers to split it down. Yeah, that's it, Thomas. Yep, huge undersea pipes with intercontinental connections for data purposes. Yeah, they had some damage a while back, but I don't know if they fixed it. They were talking about it, and I don't know if they've had the budget, but certainly, if they haven't fixed it, they should have fixed it about 5 years ago. But that's the big problem. A lot of this stuff, as long as people are working with it, they just leave it. You know, they don't seem to. It's like when you go to the Philippines, you see all the power cables, and then you say, why is there like 200 power cables up there and only like 10 of them are connected? Because they don't take the old ones away; they just leave them still hanging up there. Bad housekeeping is quite a big problem on that side. I mean, I'd get grilled if I did something like that. You know what? If you take something, you put something up, you got to take the old one down. It's just basic housekeeping. Because if you don't, you end up with what they have there, where you're looking up and going, I don't know which connection's which. It's just a bird's nest. Yeah. So I'm not sure on the connections these days. It's been a while. Moby Janik, internet is literally my biggest worry in the Philippines. I'm only ever considering BGC and Makati because of it. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was the problem with the call center. That's why I had every connection I could get, because they go, oh, we can do a business connection or whatever. And I say, well, what's better on it? Another thing that it seemed to be was they said the customer service was better. And I'm like, well, it's either working or it's not working. You know, that's it. You know, I need reliability. I don't need, if I'm paying extra, I want reliability. I'm not interested on whether somebody will answer the phone or not. I'm interested that the thing works 24/7 without any problems. But I do know a lot of the exchanges are maxed out as well. This is why I think Duterte may kick them up the backside, and this may be the game changer, because if the telcos start to feel they're losing power, they may actually invest heavily to bring things up to a standard that they can sell globally. Because let's face it, it's not cheap. I mean, the Philippines ain't cheap for internet, and I do understand they have the island issues, but at the same time, things like Cebu Island, Luzon, or whatever, they should have pretty good connections, but they don't. It's not as good as it could be or should be. It's still miles behind where it should be. I think give it time. If Duterte does this, I think that'll be a major game changer, because once that starts speeding everything up, you got cheap labor, fast internet, and then the next thing's the electric, which will be the next problem. But it's getting there. I mean, that's why somebody asked earlier about what I compare the Philippines to Spain. I'd say I call Spain Philippines 2.0. It's what the Philippines can be, because it's got the same resort, it's got more resources, but at the same time, it needs to stem its corruption and invest heavily in infrastructure to bring itself forward. And I know Spain's not perfect either on those fronts, but at the same time, it doesn't have the waste management issues. It doesn't have the crime issues in the same way. It does have some crime, but not to the same sort of levels where you need actual large scale militia forces almost. But yeah, the Philippines might have a possible higher upside. It does. It certainly does. I mean, for me, the things about the Philippines, as I mentioned before, you get sustainable and you can self-sufficient financially in the Philippines. You can then progress on the other stuff. The good thing about it, cost of living is relatively cheap, easy to maintain. Um, One of the restrictions I have in Spain at the minute is because we live right on the coast, so I actually need more space. So um, it's a case of I need more space for working. I mean, even doing these videos can be a bit of a pain sometime because the kids are playing or whatever. Mobiganic, 98 million people dying to work for cheap is a huge benefit. Agree, and that's why it'll boom, because it's got the resources there, and I think with the right investment in some of the training as well, and a reduction in the corruption and making issues easier, but also if the economy starts moving in the right direction, then a lot of people will not need to or want to go overseas, which then helps the economy develop as well. Because when you lose half your heart surgeons or whatever to other countries because other countries pay more, then you're constantly fighting against a brain drain. And I do think the Philippines has a lot to offer, but I do think it needs to get some of these initial issues sorted, getting the power issues sorted, getting the internet sorted, improving the infrastructure, improving the ability to operate businesses there, and ultimately changing some of the mindsets relating to how people like waste management. And waste management is probably one of my biggest issues in the Philippines, where people just dump everything. Oh, it's the neighbor's lot, it's not mine, I don't care. It's like, you will care when your kids get dengue. Norwegian polar bear, investing in an index found based on the stock market in the Philippines would maybe be a good investment based on the growth. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I can see it changing. I just don't know how soon it will happen. Also, if something happens with Duterte, then a lot of this could unravel. Because let's face it, the people that control the majority of things in the Philippines, they have no sense of urgency in improving their lives. A lot of these guys are already billionaires. They're not really standing out from the crowd. They don't have to. They're not interested. They're sitting in the background, doing whatever they want because they control so much. And at the end of the day, unless they're forced to, with somebody like Duterte, to actually improve it for the benefit of all, it could stagnate, and that's the big problem. I do hope Duterte does kick them up the backside. Yeah, that's it. Mobiganic, progress doesn't come from the plutocrats. Yeah, it's the big problem. I do think they need to develop this, and I think Duterte is in the right position to do it because he's popular with the people, but unpopular with those that control everything inside and outside the Philippines. So I do hope this will actually progress things. I mean, they keep focusing on the drug war. Nobody focuses on the other bits he's been doing, the visits to China and other places, trying to open up trade deals and stuff. No, nobody even mentions that sort of stuff. It's always about the negative stuff because the media is focused around the certain groups of people, because Duterte is different. Duterte isn't from their little pool of friends. He has his own agenda, for example, but at the same time, some of the people he's up against are from a completely different environment. They support a complete opposite that helped to create the stagnation. So I do think, given enough time and space, Duterte can get this going in the right direction, and if he gets the right leadership behind him to support him, it could grow rapidly. But also, when he finishes his term, he may have the structure to keep it going by other people coming up behind him to take his place on the next presidential election to keep things flowing in the right direction. And that's the hard bit. That's why things don't happen overnight, is because he's fighting against the tide at the end of the day. He's got all the support of the people, but the people that sign all the checks and all that sign off all the contracts, etc., and all the political arena aren't on his side. That's it at the end. That's the reality. He's got to change an entire system that is set against trying to make him fail. So, but at the same time, I do think progression is coming. I also think even where it is currently, if you can manage it, then there's still money in the Philippines. There's a lot of businesses that don't rely on things like the internet as well, which can make money. There's, I mean, even selling fish, bizarrely, there's money in doing things like fish or growing tilapia and other bits and pieces. Oh, Rona's back. Hi, Rona. Yeah, sorry, I disappeared earlier. My son's tab was switched on. So it decided to do updates on the last video we did. So it basically just sucked all the bandwidth away. But he puts these, he's got a swipe, then you've got to put another code in, and it makes it a nightmare to get in his phone. But yeah, I do think that the Philippines has a lot to offer. It had back 10 years ago, and it will in 10 years' time, and it does right now. I do think if anybody's going to open a business there or develop something, they just need to sit and understand exactly what you need, where you're going to go with it, what's going to be the problems, what's going to go right, because there's always problems. But that's part of a learning curve. The main thing is not leaving yourself open to a point that you can't recover or adapt or move with change. I mean, it's like with the call center. When we lost the solar work because the what do you call it? The industry changed in the US relating to the tariffs, etc. We called it a day. You know, at the end of the day, the contracts that were available at the time weren't good. It's like flogging a dead horse with a lot of it. So instead, we thought this is the right time to move to Europe. You know, still own the call center. We did quite well out of it, but moved on to something else. Mobiganic, it's one of the few places you're going to find double-digit growth in certain regions, but being a pioneer means that you have to expect certain risks. I agree. At the same time, you haven't got a civil war breaking out in the middle of it, which is one of the plus sides. It's. I mean, I remember picking a Australian guy up from the airport. He described Cebu as post-war because of the concrete and whatever, and a lot of shanties and stuff. I think it's a right description, but at the same time, it's sort of on the verge of an economic development. It's moving forward, but it's been slow. It's been stagnant. There's been a lot of money stolen from the Philippines over the years, which could have changed the Philippines. But at the same time, I do think it's got the right setup now to actually improve itself a lot. Thomas, something was in the news recently about Thailand deciding to import more products from the Philippines to help even out international trade with Southeast Asia in terms of trade. Philippines is the poor cousin. Yeah, well, you got to bear in mind the Philippines imports Thai rice. So it's in Thailand's benefit to import more stuff from the Philippines because there must be a trade deficit between them two anyway. So if they start balancing it out between themselves, then it puts them both in a better position, because the more money the Philippines makes, the more money Thailand makes, because it'll be getting some business out of them. So yeah, that'll benefit both of them. Mobiganic, political stability, ironically, a little bit more than EU at the moment. I agree. And I think that's the big spanner in the works at the moment in Europe, is the Brexit. Because there's a lot of instability in the markets, and also here in Spain, everyone's talking about the pensions. They're talking about whether they have to go back to the UK and all this sort of stuff. I do think Spain will keep things as they are if they can, because it benefits Spain. But the uncertainty is where you get risk. You get people stop investing. For example, if I was going to buy a house in Spain, I would sit there and go, you know what? I'm either going to wait until the market nosedives, or I'll wait till after the Brexit. Simple as that. Because quite simply, what you have right now is an uncertain market. We already know the Spanish housing market in this area is artificially inflated. The banks own most of the properties, so they're keeping the prices of the houses up. But for how long? You know, if they get a market shift that is so big, like the property market just suddenly stops moving on the coast, it could have a huge implication and may cause a crash. So I'm sitting waiting for that. You know, that's why I'm not. I mean, I've said before, I've not been in a rush to buy a house here. I've been looking around. I've been taking an interest in it, but I'm certainly not in a rush because it's got to be the right price. I don't mind doing renovations because if you buy somewhere here, I can guarantee the pipework needs replaced and the electrics need redoing and all the other bits and pieces that haven't been maintained or replaced in the last 20 years on the place. So, and I don't fancy buying brand new because I find the brand new ones are more than double the price of an old place. So, yeah, not in a rush. I'm going to cut this one off now because we've been playing a fair while and it's been good to have everybody here. Thanks for everybody who's joined. Everyone have a great day and thanks for everybody's input. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care.